Kip, what's up, brother? So great to see you. We're on a new platform today, so we had a little bit of technical difficulties as we got things started, but I think this is going to be much better for video and audio quality. And as you know, we're always trying to improve, like not just here on the podcast, but life in general. If we can just make incremental improvements, I feel pretty good about that. And it's a good way to start out the week.
Yeah. And it's a good analogy, right? Because when you make those slight improvements, what happens? Shit doesn't go as well and you have to pivot and you experience difficulty, and that's where the growth is, right? So
that's right. And life gets better. I don't know about you, but even if things go south when you try new things, you do new things, you try to make them better, you try to improve, I always feel better. And it's not just because I'm meddling in things. It feels better because I know I'm advancing and I know I'm growing. And I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of guys miss in their lives is they just don't look for little ways to improve on a daily basis. Like I was at the gym this morning and I was looking through my workout and I was doing some what was I doing? I think I was doing some preacher curls is what I was doing. That's what Johnny Loretti's got me doing one of my workouts, which I hate. Those are stupid. That just seems like a great way to hurt yourself. It's like an arm bar, but with extra weight. I just don't understand why anybody would do that. So Johnny, I got issues with preacher curls. Anyways, I was looking at my weight and I'm like, all right, can I improve this 5 pounds today? That's it. Can I just go up 5 pounds today? And if we make those incremental improvements daily or weekly or monthly or however often it is, I just think men operate better like that. Not just the default, the status quo, but just little ways to get better, make everything a competition, make everything a contest. It works well for me anyways.
Yeah. What do you think stops men from doing that though, Ryan? Like why, what stops guys in the tracks today, guys that are listening today? It's like, what do you think, what's the mindset that stops them from saying, hey, I'm going to make some incremental improvements today. I'm going to improve today.
It's a great question. I think I'm going to have to think about the way to frame this because I haven't really thought about it this way, but there's little sabotages that take place in our lives. And they're seemingly insignificant. Like you didn't get enough sleep last night. Mm-hmm. Or you got in an argument with or you got in an argument with your wife. Or you ate something different than you should have eaten. And we let those little things add up. And then we wake up in the morning and we think, oh, I didn't get enough sleep, so I won't go to the gym. Well, damn. Two things. You should go to the gym, number one. And number two, maybe tonight go to sleep on time. I think that's what we miss. I went skiing this weekend and I was feeling good, man. Yesterday I went skiing. Like it was the best I ever felt when I went skiing. No, I went to Bryan Head.
Just joking. Okay.
We need to get to Elk Meadows though, up to up Beaver Canyon. If those of you who don't know, now you know. It's up Beaver Canyon. And you have to say it like that. You can't say like up you have to say up Beaver Canyon. That's how we say it in southern Utah, which is not grammatically correct, but we say it like that. Yeah. Anyways, I was skiing. I felt so good. I ate right. I got some good sleep the night before. I was energized and I felt so good. Like it's not any wonder to me that our day, I think a lot of the times is based on our previous day. Yeah. And if you want to have a good day tomorrow, then do the right things today. Get up at the right time, go work out, complete your daily tasks, whatever those tasks look like, have good conversations, stay away from the booze and the junk and everything else that gets in your way. And I just think life is going to get better. It's just little things that add up. I don't know. What do you think, Kip?
Well, I love exactly what you just said. And then I'd add on, and when you F up today, pay the price. Still.
What do you mean by that?
Pay the price, right? Like if you overcommitted, still do all those things and lose sleep. If you drank the night before, still work out and feel like crap. Pay the price for those actions so you're not robbing yourself from the learning experience, right? Like most guys don't go to bed early today because they compromised today because of their actions yesterday. And so they don't learn the price. And so they do stay up late again, right? It's like you got to start paying the price. And guess what? You'll start going to bed earlier. You absolutely will, right? But you have to be willing to pay the price. And we rob ourselves from it.
If you look at that in the micro, if you get over the weekend, let's say you got, 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep in the evening, you can do that for like 3 days. About day 3, about day 4, I guarantee you hit the sack and either you go to bed early or you take a nap throughout the day because your body's like, nope, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
And I think that's your point here is you could get away with that for a little while, but don't allow yourself to get away with it. Suffer, feel it, experience it, and then make better decisions. I like that a lot.
Yeah, totally. My teenage son Kiavi used to always say this. I can't wake up early. Why? Because I can't sleep at night. Guess how you fall asleep better at night? You get up early. That's how.
Yeah, you got to get up early. That's the hard part. It's that day 1 or 2 where you have to actually get up early and suffer a little bit, and then the next night you're going to go to sleep for sure.
Yeah, yeah. The only other thing, if you don't mind me adding to what you said, those little moments of sabotage, I like to use the language, they're moments of self-betrayal. And they're always, they're the lies that we tell ourselves. And if you guys are like, oh man, this is kind of elusive, maybe I can't relate. This is how you relate. You wait for the internal dialogue to justify action or justify inaction. That's self-betrayal. Always. So if I know I should do something and I don't do it, I have to explain it away. You want to know if you're lying to yourself? It's when you start explaining it. When you start explaining it to yourself, that means you're in the process of self-betrayal. And for you to live with yourself as a human, you have to tell yourself the lie. So just wait until you start coming up with some internal story of why you're going to do or not do something. There you go. That's the moment. That's the moment when you should just go, you know what? Stop listening, act.
Let's take that to like a really tangible conclusion here. So one might be you wake up this morning or tomorrow morning, let's say, and you're like, I'm tired. Or I deserve a break. Or I worked out hard yesterday, so I can take today off. Or I'll do it later this afternoon. That's self-betrayal. Another way, absolutely, I like this a lot. Another way I'm thinking about it is, let's say you get passed over for the promotion. Oh, well, Kipp got the promotion because he's the boss's, nephew.
Explain it.
Or Kipp got the promotion because he plays politics better than I do. Well, play the politics. Like, I love that little trigger right there of if you're explaining why you didn't accomplish whatever you meant to accomplish, it's self-betrayal. But actually, hold on a second. Let me think about this. I'm just thinking about it in the context of sports because my oldest son had some games, some scrimmages this past weekend. His very first scrimmages with lacrosse. You and I talked over the weekend. Yeah. And they got slaughtered. Like, they got beat down. But justifiably so, like understandably so. Of course, they've been practicing for 3 weeks. They played a couple of teams that had a really solid program for years and years and years. So how do you know, Kipp, if it's self-betrayal or if it's, hey, we lost because those guys have been playing for years together. We just started 3 weeks ago, which is actually legitimate in this case. So how do you know? How do you distinguish between the two?
One is in curiosity, and the other one is in explaining a lack of action or action, right? So for instance, let's use an example, maybe something that hits a little more at home for most people, right? So, my heart, my gut, whatever you want to call it, says, you know what, you should probably apologize to your wife. And I have an initial thought that of already action of what I should or should not do. And when I explain it away, it's self-betrayal. That's could be different if I go to the scenario and I go, I didn't have a thought. I'm curious, man. Should I go talk to my wife about it? Like that's a little bit different, right? But,
Or like,
but when
what's
you
the best way
already
to
know the
apologize
answer,
to my
it's
wife?
exactly. But when you already know, like you should do something or you should not do, and then you have to explain it. No, that's different. That's a different story, right? And that's usually in that space of self-betrayal.
We talked about this probably months, if not years ago. And I don't know why I remembered this, but I look at, there's a difference between reasons and excuses.
Yeah.
So an excuse is like a period at the end of the sentence. There's nothing else that follows. It's over. The sentence is over. It's done. Right.
Yeah.
But an excuse is like a comma, which means that, hey, there's a break.
A reason, you mean? A reason is like a comma.
Excuse me. Yes, a reason is like a comma. There's a break, and then there's information to follow. So, for example, with my son's lacrosse team, we got beat because they were better than us, and we have horrible coaches. Period. We have horrible coaches. That's not true, by the way, but let's just say that's the reason, the excuse they come up with. That's an excuse because there's a period at the end of the sentence. You can't do anything about your coaching. There's nothing you can do about it. A reason would be, hey, we got beat because we're young. We're just learning the game over the past 3 weeks. These guys have been playing for years. And therefore, we need to train harder. There's a comma. And I think a reason is something.
Yeah.
Because I think the risk of not having the discussion or the dialogue about reason is that, like, we need to be able to move forward. Like we have, and we also have to acknowledge reality. We have to operate in the space of reality. Sometimes people are like, oh, we could do better. We could have beat them. No, you could not have. If my son said to me, Dad, we just played like crap, we could have beat them. I'm like, sorry, son, you're flat out wrong.
Yeah, and you're going to focus on the wrong thing to win in the future if it's just we could have. Yeah.
It's not operating in reality. The reality is that team was bound to beat you guys down. And so the question then is, what do we learn from it? But we have to be realistic about it. And that's one of the things I think that you get a lot wrong in the social media sphere is like, oh, you can do anything you put your mind to. My son's team could not have beat that team. Regardless of how well they played, how hard they played, how good they played, they could not have beat those teams. It just wasn't going to happen. It wasn't in the cards. Let's operate from reality and say, okay, but next time we can be better, right? Or we can do this to improve. When we get to region play, we'll have a chance or whatever it might look like.
Totally. And and I think it's important to note that, because we have a t-shirt, right? About not having reasons, right? And I think, and I agree with you, but I think most people walk around with their reasons, but they're really excuses. They're the reasons why they do or don't do things in the world, but they're really just excuses to justify a lack of action on their part. Yep. So we got to be mindful, right? Is what are we doing, of course. But
yeah, and be honest. Yep. Cool.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get into some questions today.
Theoretical. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to field questions from the gram. You can follow Mr. Michler on @Ryan Michler. That's Michler on the last name there. First question, Chris.
By the way, hold on. I want to say something about Instagram real quick. Yeah. I'm bothered with Instagram, and I don't like to complain about being like shadow banned and all this kind of stuff. I don't like to complain about because I don't know. I don't know.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I do. There's a lot of things I do that I don't like. Okay, Kipp, like going to the gym when I don't feel like it. I still do it. This is like that.
Absolutely.
It's not like that, actually. I was looking at my numbers or whatever on Instagram, and my engagement over the past 30 days for what we're doing is up like, I don't know, 87%. And I'm just using some it's close though. And then I was looking at accounts reached over the past 30 days.
87%.
Yeah, over the previous 30 days.
Okay.
I was looking at accounts reached over the previous 30 days. It's up like 967%. And I'm not exaggerating that. It's like 967%.
Crazy.
Guess how many more followers we received in that time frame?
Minimal.
Take a guess. Take a stab at it.
100.
100 total?
100 new followers, yeah.
100 new followers. No, negative.
Negative followers.
We lost followers in that same time frame. Come on now. Yeah. Like statistically, this is not even possible. So guys, like if you're on Instagram, follow, engage, comment, reshare, because I would just love to beat the algorithm. I don't know if I can because the odds are stacked against us, and we'll find other platforms and ways to go. Like we do a lot on Rumble now. We're posting everything exclusively on YouTube. YouTube has actually done fairly well, although for the amount of followers that we have, I think we have like 350,000 subscribers, and we'll get a video that's viewed 1,500 times. Come on now.
That's weird.
So
yeah, I don't buy that either.
Weird.
Like
it's just gamey. They've just gamed it all.
Almost more than a quarter of a million subscribers to the channel, and 1,000 people watch a video sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem right. Yeah.
Anyways, I think the point that I want to share here is I don't want to just complain about it, but I really believe that there is an agenda against the types of conversations that we're having. And that's conservative in nature, that's talking about independent thinking, that's talking about being an independent sovereign man. The powers that be, those that are in power, and social media is a power, please understand that, do not want these conversations to take place, and they do not want you to be successful. That applies to the government, that applies to the medical community, that applies to academia, that applies to even in some cases capitalism. There are so many cards stacked against us, guys, and we need to be realistic about that. And look, I don't want to just speak in hyperbole. I'll tell you this. If we take each one of those categories, the government doesn't want you to be successful because they want you to be a little cog in the wheel. Academia doesn't want you to be successful for the same reason. We just need to groom you to be factory workers. The medical community doesn't want you to be sovereign because they want to sell you a bunch of pills. They don't want you to be healthy. They actually want you to be unhealthy so they can continue to sell their pills. Guys, everything is stacked against you. And if you're not working on ways to be sovereign, these companies, organizations, and governments are going to get the better of you. Absolutely. So there you go.
Yeah. And it is beatable to some extent, right? Otherwise, you want to get Russell Brand, for instance, having as many subscribers as he does. But he'd probably be much higher than he is. But regardless, you know what I mean? It's working, or you can work against it to some extent. So the call to action, of course, is follow, subscribe, listen, share, and that's one of the best ways that you can support the movement.
Yeah, there's another outlet that I think is relevant we talk about. That's entertainment. This whole thing with the Super Bowl about this guy, Travis Kelce, and his girlfriend, Taylor Swift, has taken the world by storm. Guys, they want you to be distracted. And I don't even know if it's totally nefarious necessarily. I just think they want your eyeballs. That's all it is.
Attention.
And so if we can distract you with these things and we can make these grand claims and we could, put together these certain arrangements or make you talk about us more, that's what it's all about. And you guys are falling prey to it. And I do too. I'm not going to say just you. I do too.
Yeah.
We're all falling prey to it. Let's knock that off and think a little bit higher than what football player, some guy that gets paid to play, to toss a football, and who he's dating. Come on, guys. We got better things to worry about. And I'm not saying don't enjoy the Super Bowl. Sure. But recognize it for what it is. A little game filled with arrogant men who get paid way too much money, and that's it. That's it. That's all it is. I saw a guy that I like. He's like, hey, look what our team did. Our team? What the hell are you talking about? You're not on their team? Oh, well, I live here. That's still not our team. Stop being so vested in that. Watch the game, enjoy it,
crazy.
have an outlet. Sure, I get it. I like football. I actually about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, went and watched a game at Allegiant. It's a beautiful stadium. Guess how vested I was in it? Like 3 hours of my life because it was fun, and that was it. Yeah. Anyways, all right.
I can't help whenever I watch a game. I just can't help but think why did gladiators exist, right? Like, what was the whole point of that? It was a distraction for people. It was a tool by the government at the time to distract people from other issues. And it's fascinating. I find it fascinating. You go to a game and people lose their minds. They have given over whether their day will go good or not based upon a brand of an organization that will trade out employee. Like, it's their loyalty is what to a company marketing brand, or the tax ID of an organization, because it's not the team members, because those guys get traded left and right, and you have loyalty. Like, I don't even it's crazy when you logically think about it. It fascinates me that people will give over their happiness, their day, and their pride and their sense of belonging and identity to a marketed brand. It's fascinating to me.
It is.
It's crazy.
I mean, you've seen so many posts like, "Oh my God, it's going to be a hard couple of days." What the hell is wrong with you? Yeah, or when I was up skiing, I saw a bunch of guys. They're all wearing jerseys with other men's names on them. Like, could you imagine if I wore a shirt that said Kipp Sorensen on it?
That'd be pretty bad. You should do that.
That'd be ridiculous. Actually,
yeah,
we should put one in the store. I'm going to put one in the store that just says Kipp Sorensen. Just that's all it is on there, and see how many of those we can sell.
One from me.
Yeah, and two from I don't know, maybe your wife. Probably not your wife. Your wife
you'd
would
sell
buy
20.
One.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'd sell 20 of them, because I'd buy 20 and give them out as gifts.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
questions.
Well, half an hour into this thing, we don't have any questions answered yet.
All right, Chris Baber. How long have you and Kipp known each other? Quick question. There you
go. What, 7 years? 8 years?
Yeah, 7, 8 years.
I mean, loosely, right? I think somebody asked a question. I can't remember if it was on Instagram or maybe on Facebook, and they said, "Hey, we don't really know your story, like you and our story." Really quickly. Well, why don't you tell it? 30 seconds. The story of how we got connected.
A mutual friend of ours, Matt Jenkins, added me to the Facebook group. I thought it was Matt's thing, because that's usually the only people that invite you to private groups is like the owner of the group. You know what I mean?
Except for Matt.
So,
you know Matt, he's going to invite you to everything. So
yeah, totally. So he added me to this group called Order of Man on Facebook. That's facebook.com/group/order-of-man. And I joined it to support a friend. That's all. And unfortunately, this is back in the day when I had social media notifications on, and it was just like ding, 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 comments. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is noise. I'm like, sorry, Matt, I'm going to unsubscribe. So I went to the group to leave it because it was just noise to me. And that day you made a post about the podcast. So you had a video on there saying something about the podcast. And I thought, oh, this isn't Matt's thing. And then second, there's a podcast. And so then I subscribed to the podcast, listened to episode 1. And I'm like, that's pretty good. Listen to episode 2. That was pretty good. And kept listening through episodes. And then really, I think the next thing I did before I even joined the IC is I attended an uprising. I think I may have done uprising 2 before I joined the IC. I don't know exactly. But I went to the uprising, the second uprising, and then I joined the Iron Council. I was on Team Alpha for a short period of time, maybe like a month or 2. And I remember telling Drew, I'm like, hey, if there's other realms of capacity to serve and contribute more, let me know. And then shortly thereafter, Lex stepped down from Echo, and I said, I think you asked, hey, Kipp, will you take over Echo? And I said, yes. And that just kind of started looking for more opportunities to serve within the IC.
I think I love this story. And I think what's so powerful about it is that it started with something just like a Facebook group, a dumb Facebook group, and then Iron Council, and you went to an uprising. So you invested thousands of dollars to go to this uprising.
Yeah.
And then you joined the Iron Council, which you paid for. And then you asserted yourself by talking with Drew. And then I invited you to lead a team, and you said yes. And then you continue to improve. I remember a conversation that you and I had, and I can't remember exactly where it is, but it must have been a meetup or something. And we were hiking. I don't know if you remember this, but we were hiking.
In Sundance.
Is that what it was, in Sundance? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah,
you and I were on a hike with some other guys.
In Sundance.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you were telling me a little bit about what you were doing with Echo, like how you were leading the team and looking at some data and some metrics and some accountability. And I was super impressed by that. This was years and years ago. And I thought, man, I got to get Kipp more involved in this. And I think it's a great testament. And it's very in line with what we've been talking about, specifically you, over the past 8 years, of making sure that you assert yourself in the places you find yourself. If you're at work, assert yourself, look for opportunities, look for responsibilities, volunteer yourself, help somebody else, serve somebody else, because that's always going to lead you to a better place. Maybe not in the micro, but in the macro, I believe that if you go out and you really assert yourself that way, you're always going to end up on top. And you have.
Totally.
And now you're out,
Totally.
We had a great conversation this weekend. Now you're thinking about starting leadership development programs and courses, not just for what we're doing here in the Iron Council, but how can I do this for other corporations? How can I make myself available to do corporate trainings? So guys, if you are interested in anything like that for your team or your organization, I'm telling you, Kipp's a great resource for that. So, and it started from you, not from us. We were the vessel. It started from your ability to put yourself out there and take some initiative and be forward with what you wanted to do.
Yeah. Back to what you're saying, just winning where we are, right? Like how often guys were like, oh, well, I need that new position, right? I need someone to recognize me. I need opportunity for me to level up versus like, and you use this analogy, if you're the guy sweeping the room, be the world's best sweeper. Do it in such an amazing way that someone goes, holy crap, if he does that so well, think about all the other things that he could just put effort into and be amazing at. And I don't know about you, but any employee that shows up that way, I immediately think they're a winner because they believe in themselves and they're willing to put in the work.
Yeah. All right, next question.
I literally, quick example. Sorry. I literally interviewed a kid at a job right now, not qualified, and we may have filled the position. I may hire him. I have no idea what for.
Why?
Because the way he is. Because how hungry and how assertive and willing he is to put the work in. I'm like, I just know. I feel like I could put him in almost any position. He'd do amazing. I mean,
Isn't that awesome?
It is, yeah, and awesome for him, right? It's like, dude, like the possibilities are endless when you show up that way.
I think there's a lot to be said. This phrase sticks out as like betting on you. Like, I don't know, like in what role or what position we're going to put this person, but I bet on that person. Not his skill set, not like what role, not the business, but there's people. I'll give you an example. I'm an investor. Some of you guys don't know. I'm an investor in Jocko Fuels and Origin. I had an opportunity because I invest in Pete Roberts. Oh yeah, I saw that earlier because I invest in Pete Roberts. I know Pete Roberts is going to win. I don't care if he's selling the banana protein shake or whatever, or a vanilla, or I don't know what you're drinking. What are you drinking?
Vanilla. I love the vanilla. Yeah.
I like the banana
Jocko
one.
Milk. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's drinking the malt. Look, I don't know if Pete's selling that, or he's selling geese, or he's making boots in America, or he's selling denim, or he's doing Jocko protein supplement. I don't actually care. I really don't. I believe in that stuff, but I believe in Pete Roberts more than I believe in whatever it is he chooses to offer to the public. And you want to be that kind of person where it's like, I came to you, Kipp, and I said, hey, I'm going to start a new organization. I hope, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I hope you would say through my actions, like, yep, I'm interested in it. Even if it was completely different than what we're doing here, because you believe in me, not necessarily the idea.
Totally. And I have multiple people in my life. You're one of them. I have old boss of mine, Chris Lake, probably doesn't even listen to the podcast. If he called me up and said, Kipp, I got something, it'd be really hard not to jump ship. Just because I respect him so much and he's such a badass that I just know. Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
Okay. Question 1 down. All right. We'll
right,
much faster
here. Question 2, 40 minutes into this thing.
I know. This is actually really interesting. This is my brother, actually. My brother is asking this question. I thought this was funny. So Dustin Sorensen, he says, talk about forgiveness with self and others and the impact that it has on the work around us, and how do you do it?
That's really hard for me to forget. I'm not very easy on myself. I am actually pretty easy, I think, on other people. I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. I've really gotten better at not being so judgmental or jumping to conclusions about what they might be dealing with or why they do a thing. If I'm going to make an assumption, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt or assume that they are either ignorant or, they've got an experience that I'm not familiar with and they're filtering all of their decision-making process through that filter. I really try not to be judgmental. And I also tend to be pretty forgiving. If somebody wrongs or slights or messes up or takes advantage of me in some way, I tend to be a pretty forgiving person. None of that applies to myself. It just does not, because I know what I'm capable of. I'm capable of amazing things. I'm capable of great things. I don't give myself a pass. People will say, oh, well, this isn't your fault and it's not 100% your responsibility. I'm not interested in that story. I'm just not, because there's nothing I can do. Let's take my marriage, for example. And people say, well, it's not all you. Well, you know what? There's nothing I can do about her. So I might as well take 100% responsibility for it. Not fault. I'm not going to say that, but there's a difference between fault and responsibility. So it's hard for me to let go of my own shortcomings, to forgive myself, to ease up, a little bit. That's hard. But one thing that has helped me is asking the question and operating by this mindset of what can I learn and how can I be better? I don't really necessarily need to forgive myself. I don't feel like I do. There's a lot of things I don't forgive myself for in the breakdown of my 18-year marriage. I don't feel like I need to completely forgive myself to move on with my life. Like, that will always be there and it will always be present, and I'll always be aware of my own inadequacies and shortcomings in that relationship. But I'm also very aware of what I learned. I'm very aware of how I show up. I'm very aware of, my natural tendencies in relationships. And so I've gotten better at those things, not in spite of my past experiences, but because of them. I would not be the man that I am today if I had not gone through that a year and a half or so ago. It's painful. I was talking with somebody the other day, and, I remember, like a year and a half ago, I remember certain things. Here's one thing. I don't like talking about this because it's very personal, but I think a lot of you guys can relate with this. My ex-wife and I were talking about potentially me moving out or her moving out or something. And I said, I'm not leaving. That's my house too. I'm not leaving, but I'll move into another bedroom. And that's what I did. And I remember the first night, and here's what I remember about the first night in that other bedroom. It was brutal. I cried. It was so painful. I remember how painful it was, but I don't feel that pain the way I did then. I was like, man, that was hard. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I actually don't feel that pain today. I feel really good about where I am. Precisely because I'm willing to learn lessons. And I think that is what we talked about earlier, the difference between a period at the end of the sentence and a comma. So for example, a period would be, my marriage failed and I'm a loser. I'm a horrible husband. I'm a horrible person. I'm a horrible father. Period. A comma is my marriage failed. I struggled in these different ways. I should not have done this. I should have done more of this. And so here's what I'm going to do now.
Yeah.
And that's the comma. And that's why when people will say, oh, Ryan, you seem to be really good in spite of what's going on. Yeah, I am. Because it wasn't a period. It was a comma. I am. I'm in a really happy place right now because of that.
And I think the profound point of what you said is, what am I going to do now? Which implies that you're letting it go of how you were. Right? I think sometimes when we talk about forgiving ourselves, this is how you forgive yourself. You realize that who you are now can be different than who you were. That's how, right? We don't write it off. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? It's like, it's really powerful when someone rubs your face in the dirt and saying you were this, you were that, and you go, yeah, I know. Sorry about that. But now I'm not, right? And so we don't forgive like, hey, like pretend it didn't happen. No, it absolutely happened. We absolutely make horrible decisions. We're horrible in many ways. We may have major regret of the past. But who and what are you doing now implies that it's in your past. And you've let go of it. And now you're just learning from it. And I think that's where we get personal forgiveness wrong, right? Is we're dragging the past as our identity into the present constantly versus saying, no, that was horrible. I actually probably don't even forgive myself. That was horrible. I can't change the impact and the consequences of how I showed up in the world. But what I can do is show up a particular way now.
Yeah.
And move forward. I think, we're talking about forgiveness of self, and you and I are cut from the same cloth, right? I'm probably way harsher on myself than everybody else than I am with other people. But I like this phrase, and there's power always in empathy. Dale Carnegie, I think it's Dale Carnegie that has the quote that says, critical thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge. Right? You want to forgive something or forgive someone, you stop judging them and you actually start having some empathy and just try to critically think. Most hardship, pain, and suffering that we experience by the hands of someone else is usually a byproduct of their own personal struggle. And there's power in it. I'm not saying we write it off and say their actions were okay, but it gives us some power in understanding where they were coming from, right? I have people in my life that, and I, just to protect people and not share names, I have people in my life where I have to remind them like, hey, remember where your mom came from. And when they get present to remembering where their mom came from, you then look at her like she's a freaking angel, right? Like the leveling up that she has done as a human and how she's showing up in spite of her upbringing, we shouldn't ever be complaining about her in any way. She's killing it. But yet we don't do that to people, right? And we need to. And by doing that and by understanding people, we don't need to forgive them per se. We can actually forgive our heart at war towards them instead. Because that's the other element of this that I think we often get wrong. We've used this analogy of like a father dying, for instance. I remember in the IC years ago, I was hosting a Friday call and we were talking about the subject, right? Is forgiving a father that has passed away. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you think this looks like? Well, I if he was still alive, I'd be able to go there and vent and tell him how I feel and blah, blah, blah. And then what? But all of a sudden you're going to feel better? Or no, let me guess. Dad's going to go, oh, you're right, son. I was all wrong. And then you're going to feel better? The issue that you have is your heart at war towards your dad. That's the suffering.
No, it's
and guess
not
what?
even
You don't need
dad.
him.
It's the heart of war. It's
Period.
not towards your dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if
And
you
that's
start
within
doing
your
that,
realm of
then it's
control.
like, right. If you start doing that and it's like, well, he needs to be better. Well, what if he's dead? Then what, are you stuck? My dad's dead. I'd love to have some conversation. He's dead. So is yours, Kipp.
Yep.
I can't have a conversation with him. So do I get to move on? Not if my heart is at war with him.
Yeah. Yeah. And the
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was
you're
just
good.
going to
Go
say,
ahead,
and the way you deal with that heart at war is you get really present to how you're out of integrity with them. So, quick example, right? If I have a heart at war towards my dad, you know how I deal with that, whether he's alive or not, is I get present to owning how I showed up in the relationship and realizing that I withheld love, withheld other things, and I could have and should have handled that differently. And getting that was unfair. Me restoring my integrity is how I restore and have a heart at peace towards someone else. Most of the time when we are out of integrity, it's because we are blaming someone else for things. That's the byproduct of being out of integrity. And so by owning how we showed up in the world, that's how you start having a heart at peace.
You're way more assertive on that than I am, because maybe it's just dumb. I don't know, but you're talking about like how to reconcile that of like, oh, where do they come from? My knee jerk, at least it has been lately, and it's been really helpful, is I don't know. That's a good enough answer for me. Yeah. Like, for example, you're driving down the road from your house to your business and somebody cuts you off. I don't know why he cut me off. The passenger's like, why the fuck did he do that? What an asshole. I'm like, I don't know. Is he an asshole? Maybe he just didn't see me. I don't know the guy. Yeah. Maybe he is an asshole. Maybe his wife is in the delivery room and she's delivering their firstborn right now. I don't know. And that is helpful for me because then I don't need to jump to conclusions about this weird story. I'm indifferent. I don't know. All I know is that he tried to cut me off. I slowed down. It shaved 3 seconds or added 3 seconds to my commute. And life goes on. That to me has been so powerful to let things go. Because I used to be a lot more judgmental. I used to be a lot more vested. And look what that guy's doing at the gym. Why is that guy doing that? He could do more weight. I don't know. Maybe he's getting back from a recovery. Maybe he had a serious injury. Maybe nobody ever showed him before. Maybe he just likes to do that. Maybe he is a weirdo. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to my life. I'm not going to be that vested. Case in point, when we were talking about Kelsey and Taylor Swift. Oh, it's set up. Oh, it's this. Oh, I don't know. I don't care. It's irrelevant to me. It doesn't matter. Guys, the more that we can get rid of that stuff, even with my own father, I had stories about why he did things, why he didn't do certain things. I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
And that's okay with me.
Most of the time.
I don't know. It's not bad.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
And most of the time we never will know. And that's
it's
totally
fine.
Okay. Like we're doing some like internal assessments, right? And employees, and someone goes, "Hey, Kipp, I can't answer this question." And I'm like, "Why not?" And they're like, "Well, I don't know how much effort they really put in or not." I'm like, "It's an assessment. You don't know anything anyway." They're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like,
just looking at
well,
it from your perspective.
do you really know if they're capable? Do you really know if they're a great employee? If you believe you really know, you're probably wrong. So it's all perception anyway. So it's okay, right? Like, let go of the fact that you might be right or wrong, because there seldom is that type of clarity in life, right? So
yeah. You said another thing earlier, and I don't want to trip up over little things, but you said, and I'm trying to think about the context you said it in because it's been a minute, but you said, hey, when somebody says, oh, you used to be an asshole, and you said, sorry about that. I just want to say one thing really, really quickly. This is for the nice guys because I used to be one. You don't need to apologize for that.
That's true. Yeah.
You don't, because if you're apologizing for it, You might be apologizing to somebody that was not impacted by the decision that you're making. And there's no reason to do that. So if somebody says, you're an asshole, it's like, yeah,
Totally.
I am. I know. Why do I have to be sorry? Am I obligated to be sorry because I see things differently than you, or I said something that you don't like, or you took offense to something that wasn't meant to be offensive? I'm not sorry. That's on you. That's not on me. Here's where I will say sorry. When I do something and it directly impacts somebody else. So for example, if I tell somebody I'm going to be there at 5 and it's going to be 5:30 by the time I show up, and I get there, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry I'm running late. That's a reasonable expectation that you should say sorry, because they planned on you being there. They arranged their day for you to be there at the certain time and you weren't. They probably had questions about why you weren't there on time. Maybe they even took it personally. And you slighted that person. So say sorry.
And you're sorry to yourself probably in that example. Like, hey, I didn't do what I know I should have done, right?
But you don't need to apologize to other people for those either.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I could have showed up better today, then that's on me. Now, if it hindered you, then I owe you an apology. But I think it's really important, especially for the nice guys, we don't make unnecessary apologies. You don't owe everybody an apology. Certain people, yes, but not everybody. So let's just be really clear on that.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Like-minded servants, 15 minutes with the 24-year-old Ryan. So here's your context. What are the 3 most powerful lessons you've learned that he can apply to walk with Christ, his marriage, and his legacy? So maybe whether it's with you or not, what are 3 most powerful lessons that you've learned, right, with your belief in Christ, your marriage, and legacy?
I would say number 1, try everything. I really would, and I'm doing that now, but I wish I would have done that a whole lot sooner, where I would have said yes to more opportunities, yes to more experiences, yes to more adventures. Man, I'm 42 years old. If I live to my life expectancy, I'm more than halfway through my life right now. So that becomes pretty. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, like, because of just because you might be too focused on working all the time that you're not experiencing life to its fullest because your unwillingness to not just always be grinding.
Isn't life meant to be enjoyed?
Yeah.
I'm not saying to be selfish. I'm not saying to not have any responsibility. Like, I have responsibilities. I have people that I'm trying to serve, but I also want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy fatherhood. I want to enjoy building this business. If I'm so rigid in everything and I'm not thinking about ways to experiment, even within this business, for example, like, what kind of fun is that? What opportunities does it provide? What if I did it the same way everybody else did it? Sure, I could have some success, but is that how life is meant to be lived? What if I want to go try skydiving? What if I want to travel to some foreign country that I've never been to? Like, we should say yes to those things. And by the way, guys, for those young men who are listening, trust me, please listen.
It gets harder.
You have to listen to this. If I could physically make you listen to this and apply this in your life, I would tell you, it doesn't get easier. Like, if you're, and this is for the old guys too. Oh, in 6 months, the project will be done and I'll do it in 6 months. No, you won't. You won't. Or, when life's not so busy. Life's always going to be busy. If it's important, then you carve out time right now and you make it a priority and you do it because it's important. The second one, I think the second lesson ties into what we just talked about, learning to forgive others and yourself. I think that's really, really important. That people are going to slight you, people are going to mess with you. I actually don't think it's malicious most of the time. If there was a ratio, I'd say 90% of the time, maybe even more, it's not malicious. It's just ignorance or selfishness or something else. And people really aren't thinking about how can I get you? They're thinking about themselves mostly. And then we obviously talked about learning to forgive. He also mentioned living a Christ-centered life. Like, I think the concept here is just adherence to the Word of God, the Bible.
Yeah.
We deviate from that so often. and we rationalize and we justify and we talk about all the things that, we talk about. But at the end of the day, that's a great book to live a moral, principled life, and it will lead you to a good place. Absolutely, it will lead you to a good place. So I would maybe, if I were to surmise that, I'd say use that as an operating system for life.
I love it. Thanks, man. Alex Gibbs 8. As a father of 3 girls, I'm torn between protecting them and also cultivating their growth. I know boundaries are necessary, but I'm struggling with a few. It's a little bit lengthy here. He gives some examples, but primarily around them watching YouTube and wanting to do their own channel and the use of technology. He says, when will they be, my girls enjoy watching other kids play on YouTube, and they use their iPads to do their own channel. Although they do not have a real one, I'm torn between protecting them from the public and cultivating this creative channel and allowing them to experience the challenge and potential failures that will come with it. I realize their generation will be much more online. I also know that I have my parents' fear in the back of my mind that this was trained into me that I'm fighting through myself. How do I fight through that fear of my daughters, and where and what is a good boundary to have in place for an activity or project such as YouTube channels?
Yeah, well, I really like what you said about cultivating creativity, because a lot of the times we just think that's stupid, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
yeah,
should a kid learn how to grow a business? Should it learn how to communicate? Should a kid learn how to, present something interesting to the public? I think those are all pretty valuable skills to learn and develop. But I would just say, if you're going to do that, then have some parameters and boundaries in place. And that's your question. What might those look like? Number one, it might be time allotted to those things. As I don't know how old your daughters are, but let's say you have a 10-year-old daughter or a 12-year-old daughter. I don't think she needs to be spending hours upon hours on YouTube, but could she spend a half an hour watching something and then maybe an hour creating her own video? Sure, I think that's reasonable. It might also be other things for protection. Maybe at the reality of the environment we live in, that showing her face is not something that you're comfortable with. And so she's going to have to figure out a way to show her art or show her bracelet making skills or show martial arts or whatever she's into in a way that doesn't show her face. And maybe she doesn't even use her real name. Talk to her about personal information, what is to be shared and what information should never be shared. Talk to her about the realities of online predators and what that might look like and how to utilize this platform in a way that helps her express her creativity but doesn't expose her to unnecessary, dangerous risk. I think there's a lot of boundaries that can be put in place that will allow that to happen. I think I gave you some great examples, and based on what your daughters are trying to do, maybe there's more. But yeah, am I going to let my daughter do a YouTube channel that shows her face with her putting makeup on or wearing certain clothes? No, hell no. Of course not. Because I'm not an idiot. But if she wanted to talk about her artwork, because she's really into art and she wants to show her art and teach other young girls how to do art, okay, then we're going to come up with a creative way for her to communicate that without exposing herself to creeps, perverts, and assholes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what else to say here. What do you think?
No, I think it's perfect. My key takeaway that I got from you is a lot of his question was kind of like a black and white YouTube, no YouTube kind of thing. And what I'm hearing from you is use this as an opportunity. What areas within it can be used for good? What areas could be used for bad? What are the pros and cons, right? Let's get some critical thinking in there and then find a solution, right? I'm a technologist, right? I've been a technology consultant for 20 years. You will never hear me say technology is the solution. Technology amplifies and magnifies. That's it. Business process automation makes it faster. But if the process is broken, what does it make faster?
Failure.
You want to enlighten data, but the data's bad, right?
Yeah, you're going to fail faster.
That's all it does, right? YouTube, it magnifies the reach of people consuming whatever talent or thing there is, right? And so it's not good or bad, there's elements within it that could be used for good or bad, right? And I think what I'm hearing from you is be mindful of that and use that as an opportunity to teach and learn around those different areas while also being safe at the same time. I like it.
It's just a tool. Like, it's an inanimate object. Imagine the amount of followers, the people who listen to this podcast, if I said guns are bad, guns are horrible.
Yeah. Lose their minds.
How many followers, what percentage of followers would say, what are you talking about? They're not bad. Like, it's this, and they defend it, which, by the way, I'm on that side of the argument, but I'm just making a point. They'd all defend it. And then I would say, well, yeah, but how many people have been killed at the hands of somebody shooting somebody else, right? That would be my defense. And then your defense would be, well, it's just a tool, right? It's just a tool. That's all it is. This weekend I was skiing with my girlfriend, and we went to get some dinner, and we sat down at a table. There was a family, and they had a big table, and there wasn't any seats. So I said, hey, do you mind if we share this table with you? And they said, yeah, no problem. So we sat down, and her and I were talking, and I looked over, and there was a husband and a wife and a son, and they were all on their phones playing a video game or something. And initially I was like, I judged them. I was like, you freaking dorks. Just sitting on they should be here, like, interacting, playing
talking
with
to each other.
Yeah. So I judged. And then the dad was like, yeah, he like yelled like unnecessarily loud. And he's like, yeah. And they all started laughing. And I was like,
that's awesome.
I made this face. And my girlfriend was like, she's like, what are you doing? They're playing a video game together. And I looked over and I'm like, oh yeah, they are. They're all playing the same video game together on their phones, but they're playing together and they're laughing and they're having a good time. It's not the technology that's the problem. It's the way that we utilize it. In this case, from what I assume and what I gathered, and her telling me, don't be a dickhead, like, they were actually utilizing it in a way to build and forge a bond of the relationship. I think that's a pretty good use of technology. So it's just how you use it.
That's perfect. We'll get a scoring going here. Girlfriend 1, Ryan 0. So there you go. We'll start tracking.
Let's not do that. Let's just go ahead and put the kibosh on that right away. But I appreciate the thoughtfulness on that, Kipp.
Yeah, we'll start taking votes in of whether that's a good girlfriend comment or not, and we'll see how this disrupts his relationship.
All right, let's take maybe one or two more, depending on how long we go.
Gabriel Rejos, when are you doing a main event again? Quick question there. And then second question, the real question, as a new blue belt, knowing that there are still room to improve, how you manage to identify in which areas to tackle first and systems to implement for your jiu-jitsu journey? So main event.
Well, so main event, I don't know. That's the answer to that. I don't know. We'll let you know. Just make sure you subscribe to the newsletter, the email newsletter, and that way we'll let you know when we do, because I don't have the dates pinned down on that.
Okay. And you can subscribe to that newsletter, just orderofman.com and sign up.
Yes, right on the main page there. Okay. Blue belt. Well, first I would say this. I need to put a little correction in what you said. I'm a blue belt knowing there's room for improvement. Kipp, you're a black belt. Would you think that there's also room for improvement?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not blue belt and room for improvement they're not inextricably connected. Like, you'll always have room for improvement. So I just want to be very, very clear on that.
The journey never ends until you're dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where do you focus? There's two camps here, I think. You correct me if you think I'm wrong. Camp number one is focus on what you're good at.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good at this. This is my game. My game is physical. It's physical. Yeah. It's strong. It's like smash and pass. Like, that's my game. Yours, Kipp, is not that. It's a different game. So one camp says, well, I just need to double down on that. The other camp is just experiment, try all the new things and do things different. And I don't know if it's one or the other. I think it's probably a combination of both. Man, if I can smash and pass, but I can also be clever and a little sneaky with some of my moves, then by all means. Here's one thing I consider too. Like, I'm kind of like built like a little bit of a ball, and I'm not very stretchy. I'm not very flexible. I don't have long limbs. Like I'm built like a ball or a block. And so like, you know, having, let's say here's one that you've actually done to me. Let's say I'm mounted on you. You will sneak out underneath, put your feet in my armpits from behind, and then sweep me.
Yeah.
That's not a reality for me. Like that's not gonna happen. Cause my legs are like, they're literally like a third the size of my body. I'm not gonna reach your armpits with my legs. It's just not gonna happen. But I wanna know that so I can defend against it and I can really work on improving my game. So what I would think and what I've done as a blue belt is how do I develop my game by incorporating other things that I haven't thought of and considered or tried. And I've really been trying to be more conscious. And it's been a little while since I've trained. I need to get back to training, but being more conscious about incorporating and experimenting with things that I'm not totally comfortable with. I know that's not really an answer, but that's the best I can give. What do you think?
I think it's the answer. How's this? Are we training for worlds here? Right? Is our strategy to beat Gordon Ryan in ADCC? If the answer is no, then the answer is exactly what Ryan said, because that's what keeps you on the mat. That's what creates enjoyment, right? Like I'm a huge fan of an author. His name is Folkman. He wrote a book called Extraordinary Leader. It's one of my favorite books on leadership. And the whole premise, and their entire book is actually based upon data points. It's not like opinions. It's just straight up data. And based upon the data, when you look at your leadership competency, what should you focus on improving? What you're already great at, not your weaknesses. They say, take what you're great at and become extraordinary in those things. And it's almost like cross training. You get really extraordinary in something, and guess what happens on your weak spots? They get better. But most importantly, you will do it. Why? Because you're already good at it. So there's already momentum. It's what keeps you on the mat. And so I personally feel you finding your style and nerding out is what will keep you training, because it excites you and it makes you enjoyable and you're more bought in. So that's the answer, because that's what keeps you innovating and growing and on the mats. If your focus was moves that you hated and you thought they're stupid, and I told you like, yeah, focus on all those, you're going to probably quit. Because that's what most people do in life when they have to tackle the things that they're not really that great at. So figure out your game, figure out what interests you. Now, sometimes we'll nerd out and we'll go, oh, I want to true up on this other area, but have fun with it. Whatever that is, figure out where you're getting excited, where you can nerd out on it. And that's actually what you should be doing. And that's probably the beauty of jiu-jitsu that I actually don't think exists in other martial arts as much, is styles. It's fascinating to me. It's so interesting. And it's yours. It's your blueprint. And it's weird. I have two primary professors. One is smash and pass Johnny. I've never tapped to pressure, but with him. And he makes it miserable. He takes forever. He's like lava. You just know it's coming forever, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's just
smothers you.
Oh, it's just horrible. And then there's James Gardner, and he's like water. I'm not even sure. He's like air on me. I don't even know what's happening. He's just like around, and then all of a sudden I'm tapping, right? And it's like, that was magical. Like, he's a wizard. We call him a Jedi, right? And so, and I'm neither of them. I have some other version, and I do silly things at our gym, and I'm not saying this to sound cool or anything, but it just shows obsessions, right? Is people always joke around Kipp Mora. They stopped calling it a Kimura. They call it a Kipp Mora because I won't stop trying to Kimura you from every possible position, because I don't know why. I'm just like nerding out about it, you know, and that's what makes it fun. So I think you're spot on.
The one that stands out to me, and I'm going to give you guys a little pointer. If you ever roll with me, your chances of me submitting you to a leg triangle is 0. Like, I will never submit you that way. Never.
Yeah.
So here's the point. If you see me go for a triangle, it's not for a triangle. I'm not trying to triangle because I can't. I won't. My legs are too short. I will not triangle you. But you know what I'll do? I'll get you to back up and create some space for me to either get up or for me to sweep you. Like, that's the only thing I'm doing from that. I know that about myself. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. But I can do some other things from it. So I'm going to learn it, but apply it to my game.
Yeah. So no triangle chokes from Ryan and a guaranteed elbow grind in the face whenever that opportunity will present itself.
Just shush. That was early, dude. I hadn't even been training for like 3 months.
Oh, okay? you like to roll that way, and I know it. It's in your. I would do it
if I can do it. If I can make somebody hurt, like if I'm laying there, let's say we're, like I'm in side control or something. Side control is not enough for me. I want you to be in pain. So my shoulder is going to be in your sternum. My forearm is going to be across your carotid artery. Like, the more pain that I can inflict while you're laying there on your back, I really take a lot of pleasure from that.
Yeah, I know you do.
I don't get you in those positions though. So, all right, what's next? Last one.
One more. All right, Sean Gimby. I just started a podcast. I'm pleased with how it's going so far. Obviously, just configuring to do the work is the key to long-term success. Any tips or suggestions you might have, things you wish you knew sooner, tools, resources you like?
Just doing the work is not the key to long-term success, by the way. Like, I need to clarify. Because what if you're doing the wrong work? Or what if you're burning yourself out because you're just doing things that, you're supposed to do, or you're going too hard, too early? To go back to Jiu Jitsu, Kipp, if you and I roll, and I'm like, I'm just going to do the work, and I have to put in a 5 or 10 minute round with you, but I gas myself in 30 seconds, I'm out. I'm done. You're going to tap me quick. You won't tap me in 30 seconds, but man, from 31 seconds on, I'm going to be in a world of hurt. So I think that's really important. And that is part of your answer to your question is be smart about it. Be intelligent about it. Critically think and analyze what's working and what isn't, what you have an aptitude for, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy that you can bring somebody else in. Hiring mentors, hiring coaches, watching what other people do and not doing exactly what they do, but thinking, well, that guy does this and this guy does this. What if I can incorporate and infuse the two? There's a really good book called Blue Ocean Strategy, probably 25, 30 years old at this point. And he talks about Cirque du Soleil, which everybody knows of now, but Cirque du Soleil is a blue ocean. And what he means by that, the analogy is that we get into these markets where there's a bunch of red water, and he calls that, if I remember correctly, contested market space, right? If you got into a man's podcast, that's a contested market space at this point. And so it's just a red ocean. There's just blood in the water, and everybody's just trying to get theirs and kill each other in order to get what they want. A blue ocean is entirely uncontested. And usually what happens is you take elements of red oceans and you combine the two to create an uncontested market space. So Cirque du Soleil took elements of the circus, tried, proven, tested, done. Everybody's been to the circus. It's done. It's red. And then they took theater and they merged the two. And so now you have the theatrical presentation and performance of the circus, and you bring this into an organization like Cirque du Soleil, and they put on these incredible, performances. That is something that is now it's a red ocean, but it wasn't when they started. So you want to look at where you're good and where you're not, and then just bring in elements of what other people might be doing in a way that you can do it, only you can do it, to create an entirely new blue ocean. I hope that gives you some pointers.
What was that book again, Ryan?
Blue Ocean Strategy.
Blue Ocean Strategy. That's very cool. Yeah. I like that.
It's really good.
Check it out.
I'm actually surprised you haven't read it. You would eat that one up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Adding it to the list, to the many lists. By the way, like this podcast, your podcast, has primarily been my source of book reading for the last 8 years.
I know.
Seriously.
We have so
I
many
can't
great
have
authors on.
You get like an amazing author on. I'm like, love that guy reading that book. Oh, love that guy reading that book. Right. It's just like, yeah, it's been great.
We got some good ones coming up too. Ryan Hawk, who's been on the podcast a couple times. He's coming on. I'm interviewing him tomorrow. So it'll be several weeks before it comes out, but he's got a great book coming out too. So, all right, man, take us home.
Cool. All right, so there's a couple things. Obviously, we talked about the newsletter. You could sign up for that newsletter at orderofman.com as normal. The other thing is our Facebook group. That's facebook.com/group/orderofman. And then we got the Iron Council opening up in roughly about a month or so. So to learn more about the IC, go to orderofman.com/Iron Council, and you can sign up for a newsletter there. However, we do recommend that you get Battle Ready, and that is a Battle Ready program that will kind of set you up for success over the next 30 days as you prepare to join us in the Iron Council. To learn more about it, go to orderofman.com/Battle Ready. And of course, we had all kinds of references today. You know, one of my first experiences in Order of Man was the uprising in southern Utah, and it was profound. And I'll be honest with you, when you stopped doing uprisings, I was kind of a little upset about
disappointed.
it. I was one of the guys that are like, what, are you kidding? That was the best thing ever, right? And so I love uprisings, and we have a few spots still open for the uprising that happens the first week in May. If you are interested, go to orderofman.com/uprising to grab those open spots. They are not going to last long.
Yeah, I think we have 2 left, so got to get on it quick.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Kipp. Appreciate you, brother. Guys, really good questions. Sorry we only got to like 3 of them. We'll do better at that in the future. Stop rambling so much and get to more of your questions. But hopefully we gave you some things to consider. That's what we want. I mean, I know, Kipp, that's my motive. I know that's your motive. You know, we sometimes our delivery might be a little bit off, but our motive is to make sure that we give you what we know. It's not absolute truth with a capital T, but it's what we know, and hopefully it gives you something to consider and something that improves your life. All right, guys, we'll be back later this week. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.